Hello and welcome to another episode of Evolve, Optimise and Grow podcast. Today we have Sam Lee from Trivium. I'll let Sam introduce himself in a minute. I'm Rory Dennis, the host. I have a company called Duga who look after AI for medium-sized businesses. Sam, do you want to give us a little bio and a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me. So I'm vice president at Trivium Group. We are a full service Amazon and now TikTok agency. Specifically within that, I run the sales team as well as Amazon's DSP demand side platform. So it's programmatic marketing, display, video, all that good stuff. But we work with a lot of brands across various verticals. Our bread and butter over the years has been really all things Amazon, and then after understanding the spillover from brands promoting on TikTok Shop and how that impacts their Amazon sales, we've branched into that category as well. So appreciate you having me.
Fantastic, thank you. And a little bit of background around Trivium, kind of how long have they been going, and how did you get to this point? Because you're now quite a successful agency.
Yeah, so our founder, Mina Elias, the former chemical engineer, started a supplement brand. Also was an MMA fighter, so we started a supplement brand called MMA Nutrition back in 2018, 19. The brand did pretty well. Mina then parlayed that into teaching other supplement brands how to succeed on Amazon. Originally, that was kind of on a consulting basis that parlayed into an agency for supplement brands. Mina and I actually met because I was working in the Amazon space in an aggregator called Thrasio, running the DSP things over there. Mina was looking to learn more about. He was the PPC expert, pay per click. I was the demand side platform guy, so we got to be pretty close through that. I started helping him with his agency to create a DSP offering. Kind of during that time, I was a consultant full time for a while. Became CEO of one of my clients. That brand or that company was acquired last year, and I came on full time with Mina since then. And since that point, we've really just been looking to scale Trivium. I think the Amazon space is always changing. Brands need experts, and specifically within what I do, the video component of things, the display component of things, Amazon's branching into a lot of new areas for display and video advertising.
Yeah.
So it's definitely been a constantly expanding area of business for us.
And the demand side platform is very customer focused, from what I read.
Sorry, what do you mean by customer?
It's much more focused on kind of the return on investment for the clients and working much more around the metrics, and you get much closer to the client's needs, I think, from what I
Yeah, there's a
understand.
lot of ways you can use it. So I think it's one of those platforms that I think was misunderstood from the jump, and that's in part due to its versatility. So it is something that you can utilize for really top of funnel brand awareness, meaning a brand can come to us and give us a video asset that we can play on Prime Video, or Amazon just announced a partnership with Netflix, so we can run video ads on Netflix. So those are really great tools for brand awareness. However, the other side of it is you use Amazon's first party data and you can serve ads to people in a very, very targeted revenue driven capacity as well. So there are a lot of ways to use it. It's kind of the gift and the curse of the platform. So it's just very customizable, for better or worse. The best way to
Is
put
this
it.
one of the major shifts in the industry then now? This kind of, I guess it's cross-platform demand.
Yeah, it's basically like the way that I see it, like marketing is always kind of comes full circle. And what I mean by that is it went from commercials, TV ads, broad reach into highly segmented digital marketing techniques for things like Google ads and Facebook ads. And then now what we're experiencing is kind of a hybrid between the two, where we can ultimately take these top of funnel, because when you think about it, cable TV, which you buy Super Bowl ads, whatever it is, Amazon Prime now owns Thursday Night Football. So we're kind of coming full circle in that you can, like, commercials are effective. However, now with what we're able to touch, especially with, for example, Amazon's demand side platform, we're able to layer in real customer insights and targeting options into these video high reach techniques. So it's not that advertising inherently is changing. It's just that the customization each person experiences with the ads they receive is changing.
That kind of leads me on to my next question, which was more about AI and technology and how that's changing things. So within that kind of thinking about that answer, is AI playing a big part in that identification of the segmentation of clients or opportunities?
It's playing a big part in two ways. One of them is in optimizations for current ads. It's machine learning. It's, we set bids for how much we're willing to pay for impressions. We set targeting for where we want our ads to show, who they're going to show them to, but we can't control every single segment of this, right? So it's like if desktop is performing better than mobile in the simplest sense, or if an ad at the top of the screen is performing better than at the bottom of the screen. And if somebody that saw your product 7 days ago is converting more often than somebody that saw it 8 days ago. These are these little tiny metrics that as an operator, we can't constantly control. So where AI and machine learning come in is they optimize those sort of minute details in the background and improve performance. And then the other side of that is in content creation. So one big thing is obviously AI content, generally speaking, whether it be video, images, whatever it is. I think there's a time and place for that. I think that, at first it was all new and exciting, and it's gotten so powerful that I think that people are looking for it a lot more. So I think that there's a time and a place for AI assets. I think that they can be incredibly powerful. However, an over reliance on those can also be a problem.
I think that we're getting saturated with AI. I look on TikTok recently, and all the Sora videos are coming out, and it's scarily accurate how I struggle to tell that they're AI, whereas 6 months ago it would be obvious. I myself set up, and Duga uses AI to do that exact thing, create bots sometimes for companies to do the marketing, create LinkedIn adverts based on kind of what's going on in the market and things. But I think the human touch is quite important sometimes. So I think that's quite important not to.
I think what it comes down to is AI as a tool is incredibly valuable. AI as a crutch is detrimental. Because when you think about it, like if you are using AI to create your posts on LinkedIn, or if you're using it to create your YouTube content and it's not really you and it's an AI version of you, people look for that sort of thing and they don't like it. However, using AI to create the baseline for these things is incredibly valuable. So for example, if you're looking to write a LinkedIn post on a certain topic, you can use ChatGPT to write the outline and then you make it your own. Or you use ChatGPT to write a script for a YouTube video, but then you actually record it yourself. I think that's kind of the sweet spot, and I think that it's powerful when used properly.
I think my preference is to let it, give it some instructions, do the research, prompt you with some suggestions, but the human voice has got to be there for the.
It can save you 70% of your time, not 100% of your time. It's kind of the line.
And it's it's a tool. You use it as a tool, and it should be fine. I guess that kind of leads me on to the next question about the human. Is there any misconceptions around your industry that maybe you want to address or talk about? Advertising is always one that people sometimes look at with maybe a little bit of suspicion and negativity.
Do you mean as it ties into AI specifically, or just generally?
Just generally. I mean, your marketing, obviously. I think advertising marketing sometimes feels because it's directed at you, and you're obviously trying to influence. Some people will look at that and potentially slightly negatively.
Yeah, I think it's twofold. It's the consumer perspective of targeted marketing, and then there's the brand perspective of how a marketing agency can interact with them and what they do. And from the consumer perspective, getting a very targeted ad feels invasive sometimes, for sure. However, you're going to get ads no matter what. Like I might as well see things I'm interested in. I think I understand the perception of like, how does this person I know I like this thing? And I still do not understand. And I think it's a real thing when you're talking about something and you get an ad for it. Like I've never understood how that works.
Yeah.
That part is weird, but at the end of the day, we use targeting based on interest that you've expressed on Amazon for me specifically, just to show you relevant ads. If you want to buy it, you buy it. If you don't, you don't. But I might as well see things that I'm interested in if I'm going to be forced to see ads regardless. And without advertising ultimately most of our major forms of media and entertainment would not exist. So
Yeah. I wonder, is there any change away from kind of the metric of the return on ad spend, or is that still the primary metric on how well you're delivering your service?
every brand's a little bit different. I'd say that's still the primary focus. I think at the end of the day, dollar in, dollar out is going to be important no matter what. Some brands are leaning more into top of funnel awareness stuff because they have the funding to justify it, and they understand that if you put 100 grand behind TikTok Shop, you're going to see some results on Amazon, or it's not always a one-to-one return, and brands are understanding that. However, the idea of dollar in, dollar out advertising is never going to change totally. And it's one of the main benefits that digital marketing has over conventional billboard-esque marketing. But I think more of the question ultimately starts to come to incrementality. And what I mean by that is, yes, this person saw this ad. Yes, they bought that product, but how much of it was influenced by the ad? Was it coincidental? Because part of the downside that comes with hyper focused targeting is that you are ultimately often serving ads to people that may be familiar with you, people that may be already interested in the category. So the question becomes, even though I'm serving the ad to exactly the type of person I want to show it to, am I beating a dead horse? Like, was this person, they went to my page, they left it, they saw an ad, they bought it. Did the ad influence that sale? And we have new tools to help us figure that out. However, it's never perfect. So incrementality is a big part of that. And that, I think, is part of the hesitation that some brands have working with agencies, is that, it's in an agency spends $100 on Amazon, right?
Mm.
It's in Amazon's best interest to have those ads perform as good as possible, because then that person will spend more money. It's also in the agency's best interest to have that ad perform as good as possible, because then they'll spend more money and it means they're doing a good job. However, the question comes down to, are these results inflated? Like, are they capitalizing on sales? Are these numbers pumped up? Which every platform from Google to Amazon to Facebook has been guilty of this in some capacity. They all want to take credit for the sale.
Yeah, of
So
course. So, I mean, in terms of, I guess my next question would be a kind of follow up um, is that the biggest challenge kind of facing, I guess, your industry at the moment, from terms of like developing the product and kind of where you go? Is that
I would say
pre?
it's finding the balance between the allocation of like where you're spending ads, right? Because sometimes the really targeted bottom of funnel, meaning people that are already exposed to your ad, results can look inflated. And sometimes the top of funnel stuff doesn't get enough credit, because if I'm retargeting someone who's viewed, maybe they were already going to come back to purchase, but the results look great. And you never know for sure if they were going to come back or not. On the flip side, you're running a TV ad and you need to hit somebody 6 times, then they eventually think of your brand, they go search your brand, they buy your product. That ad isn't always going to receive credit for that, even though it may have very well influenced the purchase. So I'd say the challenge is finding the balance between conversion, bottom funnel driven
Yeah.
advertising and top of funnel awareness.
And think about the different platforms. I think about Amazon and I see an advert for something and I might put it on my wish list, whereas TikTok feels much more instant gratification. So I see something, an ad, I click it, and I just buy it off TikTok Shop there and then. Is that kind of what you see as the big difference in the way
I'd
that?
say it's a mix, because I think that Amazon shoppers are always going to want to buy from Amazon because they can get it tomorrow. So what I see a lot of is a TikTok shop or influencer based marketing strategy. Even if they link to TikTok shop or they link to their website, if I'm an Amazon customer and I see this product I like, first thing I do is I go look up the brand on Amazon to see if I can get it tomorrow. So I think in that way, some of those advertising tactics can be underrepresented with the sales that they're actually driving. But we can figure that out by like looking at, when we ran this ad, how much did our branded search pick up? So
Makes
there
sense.
there are ways to figure it out.
And in terms of the business, how would you go about finding clients and how do you basically make yourself stand out from your competitors?
Yeah. So this is something that Mina taught me that I knew theoretically was important, but it was too much work for me to put into practice on my own previously. It's very content driven. It's one thing that was told to me early on in my career is like, give away so much for free that it almost hurts. And what that means is if you know a lot about something, but you're gatekeeping it, how does the market know that you know a lot about that thing other than just taking your word for it? So what that means is, Mina creates a lot of YouTube content. I've slowed down, but I was creating a lot of YouTube content, going on webinars, podcasts, posting on LinkedIn. It takes time to build that, right? So, and you need resources to be able to do it. Like I can't edit a YouTube video. I have no idea how to do that. So you need resources. So it can be a little bit of a catch-22 in that way.
Yeah.
And it takes time to build, authority in the space. However, that's how we've seen the most success. And as such, we don't do really any like outbound prospecting. It's more so we create enough content, we do enough things that our inbound lead flow is strong.
Fantastic. And you'd say it's I guess your knowledge base that sets you apart from the competitors. The fact you've got this huge. I've been through your website. There's a lot of information on there. You do stand out.
So honestly, yeah, that's part of it, of course. Like you need to be able to know what you're doing. However, I would honestly say that a big thing that sets us apart is that I think, given in our industry, I think that what can turn people off to working with a particular agency is a lack of transparency.
Maybe.
And I think one thing that set us apart that Mina's kind of built a personal brand on is honesty and being a little bit blunt, frankly. I honestly think that because that's refreshing for brands because they don't want a marketing agency that's going to go just blow smoke up their
They're
ass.
probably not used to them turning around and saying we disagree or we think this is the way to go.
And
so
by telling people things they don't want to hear, they trust that you're honest, and then that builds an authority in a certain way.
Yeah, it's kind of challenger. It's a good approach for kind of building that authority. And thinking about the business now, kind of within the business, what metrics are the focus at the moment? Which areas are you deliberately trying to grow? Is it your area, the DSP? Is that the biggest focus for Trivium at the moment?
I would say it's a big portion of it. I think that within the Amazon advertising space, the pay-per-click advertising is always going to be the lifeline of it. It's it's the highest intent. It's incredibly important. It's incredibly competitive. So that's a big part of it. Another thing is search engine optimization. So that's something that's constantly evolving, whether it's Amazon, whether it's Google. TikTok is a search engine. I mean, you have to be able to optimize for organic search engine results, and that's constantly evolving, right? I mean, Amazon rolled out an AI companion called Rufus. I don't think it's widely adapted yet. However, it's something that I believe people will start to use, and Amazon's rewarding people that are setting up their listings in a certain way that utilizes that. So I would say we have things that like PPC that it's important to stay on top of, SEO it's important to stay on top of, and then DSP is just something that's scaling.
So SEO isn't dead. I keep seeing these YouTube videos and things saying SEO is dead. It's not.
Clickbait. It's impossible for SEO to be dead. Well, I think what they mean is old SEO tactics are dead.
Yeah.
Like back-end keyword stuffing. If you put your keyword in enough places, the search engine, like that's just not how it works anymore. Like SEO is not dead. It's just the way that brands and anyone is understanding how to do it is different. Because search engine optimization will never be dead. Like you need to show up high in search engines. It's constant. And even things like ChatGPT, like you could consider ChatGPT a search engine, and people are optimizing for that more and more. So it's just changing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I use Perplexity for my research, and it goes through and curates all the different websites and things. So yeah, absolutely. I think it's not dead; it's evolving, and I'm guessing companies like yourself are the experts who've growing with it and evolving with the changes in the market. So can you just explain? I've just got one more question about the current kind of opportunities for you. And this may not be for you, but could you explain the PCC Accelerator and how it's helped smaller brands?
The PPC Accelerate. Do you mean because Amazon has their Accelerate event?
Yeah.
Or what are you referring to? So yeah, honestly, that's something so it's kind of where there's a certain point with brands where they are big enough and complex enough that they're driving sales and they don't have the expertise needed to manage it at a certain point. However, it's tough for them to be able to afford like a full service agency at that time. It's a really weird middle ground that most brands hit at some point. And your options are basically either to scale it on your own, hire somebody on Fiverr or whatever it is for cheaper to just get you to the point where agency fees make
Yeah.
sense. Like that's kind of the best route, or you commit to an agency slightly before you feel you're ready, or a full-time hire, whatever it is, and have the faith in them that they're going to scale you and be willing to, you know, take some cuts and bruises in the short term.
Got you.
So
Okay.
our accelerator program was essentially something that was built for that middle ground, and it's like a little bit more hands off than our conventional full service account management system. It's still brands need to be able, to spend a couple grand a month to afford a couple grand a month for an agency for it to make sense, but it's essentially meant to bridge that gap.
That makes sense. And in the next 12 months, where will Trivium be? What's the roadmap for growth?
You know, that changes on a monthly basis. I think like over the past 12 months, to be honest, actually, I think we're about where we plan to be. I think we've focused on growth in the places that we felt to be the most important. And I think that that's something that will continue. I don't view the next 12 months in terms of our point of focus as being much different than the previous 12, other than continuing to adapt and point more focus to things like TikTok Shop and Amazon DSP, just because, you know, it's important to stay on top of PPC and the SEO, and we have a team that's dedicated to that. It's just that the brands that are doing more video, the brands that are doing more awareness and understanding the impact it has on these other metrics is only going to increase. So it's just staying on top of the latest trends, and then we dictate our growth accordingly.
And if you could solve one major challenge today within the business or within the industry, what would it be?
Attribution, it would have to be our incrementality of sales. It's something that there are a number of software providers and things like AMC, Amazon Marketing Cloud, has made a lot easier. It's just never perfect, and um, it's something that the brands that I, because we predominantly, of course, we work with large brands that we're working with their senior e-commerce manager, and they have, whatever, like hundreds of people, and that happens too. But I'd say predominantly we work with business owners directly. So that's when these types of conversations are especially important. It's like, how real are these numbers? What does our bottom line profit look like? And in my eyes, the ways are to zoom way in and layer in tech, use advanced software like Amazon Marketing Cloud to really look at the fine details, or to zoom way out. And it's like, how was our bottom line profit before we did this, and how was it after, and what changed? So it would just be getting a firmer grip on incrementality, and then and then asset production, I think is incredibly important as well for things like video. But it's always going to be how many of these sales are actually driven by marketing efforts.
It's always a bottom line. Yeah, I get
Yeah.
you. And what trends do you foresee around Amazon marketing for the next year or so? Is there any big changes you're kind of seeing in the market?
I mean, not to just dwell on this too much, but I mean, things like the partnership with Netflix are huge. I think Amazon's just expanding their reach, and I think that's going to continue, because the benefit in Amazon that it has over other platforms, and everyone has their own sources of data. And, I've talked to people from Yahoo DSP and Google and all the Trade Desk, and they all have their benefits. But the thing about Amazon that was always so useful was using Amazon view and purchase behavior to run your ads, because it tells you a lot about somebody. And previously, it was only useful for Amazon brands. DSP kind of expanded on that to be more, even if you're not selling on Amazon, you can use the data to run ads. And partnering with brands like companies like Netflix, it's just really expands Amazon's reach. So it's just, the data is there, the data is valuable, the data is proprietary. It's just expanding in places we can use it, and that's going to continue.
Very good. And if you could go back 10 years and give yourself some advice, what would you say to yourself?
That's a good question. I think that it's funny. I think my career started at a good point where I got to experience both full-time in-office work and now full-time remote work the last 5 years. I honestly don't think there's a ton I would tell myself, just because I think that all the things that have led me to this point have been incredibly valuable for different reasons. I think, I don't know, some people think that people that entered the workforce before around 2020 were put in a tough spot. I think it's a really nice spot to be in. I don't think, other than like maybe focusing more on Amazon sooner, but I think I did it pretty quick. So I maybe give myself some stock market tips. That'd be about it.
I think that's a good philosophy. And just finally, just where can listeners find out about your company? Where's the website? And do you want to give any more information?
So it's triviumco.com. Again, my name's Sam Lee. You can find me on LinkedIn. There are a lot of other Sam Lees, but if you look me up in Trivium, you should be able to find me. Or my email is sam.l@triviumco.com.
Fantastic. Look, it's been really interesting. I've learned a lot. So I really appreciate your time. Thank you, Sam.
Yeah, likewise, brother. Appreciate it.
Cheers. Thank you.